strong EBITDA of 61.4%, where we've seen a margin improvement of 1.7 percentage points. This is on a reported basis. We have seen EPS grow to, on a restated basis, 7.07 per share, and normalizing for the one-offs, the earnings per share has increased by 25.1% year on year. I should also just point out that all of our financial figures that are disclosed to you today are based on IAS 17. Of course, from the beginning of this year, we have implemented IFRS 16, and there is a reconciliation of the two sets of data in our financial statements available online. Moving on into subscription and traffic revenue, as I've just mentioned, we have seen a 13.4% year-on-year growth, and this was also resulting in a top-line revenue growth of 10.6%. The DSTR growth was partly offset by a fall in interconnection revenue by 20.7%. This was, of course, an impact from the implementation of floor pricing last year in August. We have also, if you look at our normalized revenue, the actual year-on-year subscription growth would have otherwise been 14.2%, but Michael has already mentioned that the finance bill, which was announced on the 13th of June, actually required mobile operators to implement the change in supplementary duty from 5% to 10% instantaneously. Of course, given the variety and the huge portfolio of products and services we have, we were not able to implement the change immediately. Michael has already mentioned the change in data products has taken place on the 20th of June, and on the voice products took place on the 25th of June. So, however, in the interim, we were still liable to ensure that we were collecting and paying 10% supplementary duty to the government, and therefore that was subsidized by Grameenphone to the extent of 109 million BDT. Had this not occurred, our total revenue growth, our DSTR growth for the quarter would have been 14.2%, which was the same as last quarter. Growth in subscription and traffic revenue was driven predominantly by voice, the 4 billion growth of which 3.2 billion was contributed by voice, i.e. 80%, and 1.1 billion came from data performance. The voice revenue continued to be primary growth contribution in the revenue, and that was driven by a 14.8% growth in voice revenue, driven by an 8.9% increase in the subscriber base. The increase in voice ARPU was 5%, i.e. 111 versus 105 year on year. If I now dive into the data revenue slide, overall the 18.1% growth in data revenue was driven predominantly by a 15.2% increase in data users. We've seen an increase in data users of 5.2 million net addition from last year. And the number at the end of the second quarter stood at 38.9 million in terms of total data users, of which we have seen 4G users at the end of the quarter was 8.4 million. In particular, though, for the month of June, we have seen year-on-year data growth of 21.1%, and this was mainly driven by the accelerated 4G network expansion, and also supported by, as Michael referred to, the ICC Cricket World Cup, where we saw specifically a 12.5% month-on-month increase in usage. The year-on-year ARPU for data has increased by 2.4%, and this is as a result of a 55.9% growth in the overall usage year-on-year, where we have grown from 986 to 1,538 megabytes per user. This was partially offset by a 34.3% drop in the